Ready? Hi, my name is Corporal Lisa Croteau, and I want to thank all of you for coming and for calling in today. We have several media on our conference call line who will be listening and participating via speakerphone. Today, the Nova Scotia RCMP Criminal Operations Officer, Chief Superintendent Chris Leather, who is the Criminal Operations Officer of Nova Scotia RCMP, will provide an update on the investigation into the active shooter events. We will take questions following their comments. Please provide your name and agency for the benefit of all participants. Bonjour, je m'appelle Corporal Lisa Croteau et je veux vous remercier pour venir et appeler à la ligne téléconférence. Il y a plusieurs médias sur notre ligne téléconférence qui vont écouter et participer. Aujourd'hui, l'officier responsable des opérations criminelles de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse, le surintendant principal Chris Leather, va donner une mise à jour sur l'enquête entourant les incidents impliquant un tireur actif. On va prendre des questions après leurs commentaires. Si vous dites votre nom et votre agence pour le bénéfice des participants.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want again to offer my sincere condolences to the family, colleagues, and friends of Constable Heidi Stevenson. We have lost one of our own while she was protecting others. This is a definition of a true hero. We have set up an email for condolences, which is available on the RCMP Nova Scotia Facebook and Twitter accounts. To the families and loved ones of all the victims, please accept my deepest condolences on the loss of your loved ones, and to everyone hurting and trying to make sense of what has happened. Please know that we, too, are doing so. I do have some promising news, some good news. The member who was injured in yesterday's event, Constable Chad Morrison, an 11-year veteran of the RCMP, is now recovering at home from gunshot wounds. This is obviously good news, and we will be there to provide support throughout the member's recovery process. Although we are still in the early stages of this extremely complex investigation, I am here today to provide what we have learned since yesterday. Please know that we continue to gather information and seek out answers. Firstly, I can confirm now there are in excess of 19 victims both men and women, and all were adults. It appears that some of the victims were known to the suspect and others were targeted and not known to the suspect. Members are currently at 16 crime scenes in Portapique and other communities in central and northern Nova Scotia to gather evidence and learn more about what occurred at each scene. We have teams working on several aspects of the investigation. Some of this includes conducting interviews, processing various crime scenes in various locations, conducting extensive analytical work, and we're also conducting several searches in regards to the investigation. I mentioned yesterday that we made a referral to CERT regarding the death of the suspect. We have now made 2 additional referrals to CERT. Because these are CERT matters, I will be unable to provide more details. I would once again like to acknowledge the remarkable work of everyone involved in responding to these tragic events. They put their lives on the line to protect others. I know this is a challenging time for Nova Scotians and that there are still many unanswered questions. I want to reassure you that we are working hard to find out as much information as possible in the days and weeks to come. We will be in this for months to come, I am sure. Also know that our members are still out there on the roads working hard to protect you, and we will continue to keep Nova Scotians safe. As I'm sure you can appreciate, there's still a significant amount of work that we have to do in relation to this investigation. Additional updates will be provided as more information becomes available. Thank you very much. want to do French?
Je vais dire la déclaration en français. Bon après-midi. Je tiens encore une fois à offrir mes sincères condoléances à la famille, aux collègues et aux amis de la gendarme Heidi Stevenson. Nous avons perdu une des nôtres, alors qu'elle protégeait les autres. C'est la définition d'une véritable héroïne. Nous avons créé une adresse courriel pour les messages de condoléances. Vous pouvez y avoir accès sur la page Facebook de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse et aussi par l'entremise de notre compte Twitter. Aux familles et aux proches de toutes les victimes et à toutes les personnes qui souffrent et qui tentent de donner un sens à ce qui s'est passé, veuillez accepter mes plus sincères condoléances. Nous essayons, nous aussi, de comprendre et nous partageons votre peine. Sur une note un peu plus encourageante, l'agent qui a été également blessé hier, le gendarme Chad Morrison, se remet maintenant chez lui de ses blessures par balle. C'est évidemment une bonne nouvelle et nous serons là pour lui apporter notre soutien tout au long de son rétablissement. Nous en sommes encore au tout début de cette enquête extrêmement complexe, mais je suis ici aujourd'hui pour vous fournir des détails sur ce que nous avons appris depuis hier. Sachez que nous continuons de recueillir des renseignements et de chercher des réponses. D'abord, je veux confirmer qu'il y a 19 victimes, mais nous nous attendons à ce qu'il y en ait d'autres. Les victimes étaient des hommes et des femmes, tous des adultes. Il semblerait que certaines des victimes étaient connues du suspect et qu'elles aient été ciblées, tandis que d'autres ne l'étaient pas. Nos membres se trouvent actuellement sur 16 lieux de crime à Portapique et dans d'autres collectivités dans le centre et le nord de la Nouvelle-Écosse pour recueillir des preuves et en apprendre davantage sur ce qui est arrivé à chaque endroit. Nous avons des équipes qui se chargent de différents aspects de l'enquête. Par exemple, on mène des entrevues, on traite les divers lieux de crime à plusieurs endroits, on effectue du travail analytique et on effectue également des recherches sur les propriétés du suspect. Hier, j'ai mentionné que nous avons demandé à l'équipe d'intervention en cas d'incident grave d'enquêter sur la mort du suspect. Nous avons maintenant demandé à l'équipe d'examiner 2 autres incidents. Étant donné que l'affaire est maintenant entre les mains de l'équipe d'intervention en cas d'incident grave, je ne pourrai fournir aucun autre détail concernant l'incident. Je tiens encore une fois à souligner le travail extraordinaire de toutes les personnes qui ont participé à l'opération relative à ces incidents tragiques. Ils ont risqué leur vie pour protéger les autres. Je sais qu'il s'agit d'une période difficile pour les néo-écossais et qu'il y a encore de nombreuses questions sans réponse. Je vous assure que nous travaillerons fort au cours des jours et des semaines à venir pour obtenir plus d'informations possibles. De plus, sachez que nos membres continuent à patrouiller et à travailler fort pour nous protéger, et nous continuerons à assurer la sécurité des néo-écossais. Comme vous le comprenez, il y a encore beaucoup de travail à accomplir relativement à cette enquête. Nous fournirons des mises à jour dès que d'autres renseignements seront connus. Merci. What we'll do now, we'll just take questions from the teleconference, and I'll ask the person for their question. Alexa McLean from Global News, did you have a question? Alexa McLean? Alexa, can you hear me?
Good afternoon, thank you. Yes, I'm just curious, how officers or police that they have identified all of the victims and have also discovered all of the crime scenes?
We're relatively confident we've identified all the crime scenes. However, we've been unable to fully examine the crime scenes because, for instance, we have had 5 structure fires, most of those being residences, and we believe there may be victims still within the remains of those homes which burnt to the ground. So that part of the investigation is still very much ongoing, and again speaks to why we don't have a final total, because we expect that to rise in the coming days.
Okay, we'll take a question from Maura Warburton from Reuters. Maura Warburton from Reuters.
Hi, sorry about that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Fuck.
Okay, we'll just
Go to the next.
go to the next question. Michael Gorman with CBC.
Hi, thank you. Two questions I'm hoping you can help me with. One is with respect to the photograph of what is believed to be a fake police car that RCMP released on Sunday. Can you provide details about where you found that police car and any other, where you found that photo rather, and any other information you've been able to ascertain regarding the shooter's access to a uniform and what appeared to be a police car? And I'm also wondering if you could speak, please, about the decision to inform the public about what was going on via Twitter, as opposed to using the province's emergency response text alert system.
Okay, I'll start with the response as it relates to what we refer to as the mock police car. It was discovered, first reported to us early in the morning, but then discovered at the crime scene that involved the killing of Constable Stevenson, and that vehicle was one of the two vehicles that were then fully engulfed in flames. In terms of the police uniforms, we don't know the origin of the uniforms, but we certainly have reason to believe that they were either actual uniforms or very good facsimiles thereof. We haven't recovered all of the garments. That's still part of the investigation. And as it relates to the use of the alert system versus Twitter, perhaps my friend from communications can speak to that. I believe there was an Amber Alert that went out at some point.
No, we
No.
just used the Twitter and Facebook just because it was unfolding. And
Right.
we were in contact with the province about it, though, but it just never, we operated in suspect.
In a follow-up to that, is it possible to picture a better use of the emergency system than what was going on yesterday?
We'll take the questions from the teleconference first, and then we'll take a question from Raisa Titanish from Tanabush Light.
The question I was wondering about in regards to the emergency response check system as well, so I am good, thank you.
Robert Gillis from Associated Press. Robert Gillies. Bill Martin with Six Rivers News.
Thank you, but my question also was already asked.
Thank you. Nick Moore from CTV Atlantic.
Hello. Can we get confirmation on how many people are still perhaps in the hospital, or how many people that police know of have been injured from what has happened?
Obviously, our own member was injured, received medical attention, and I believe is now home. But we also had information that others may have been injured during the course of this shooting spree. However, that is yet to be confirmed. I don't have a fixed number for you, but that is something that we're looking at.
Jana Prudent from Globe and Mail.
Hi, you said that there was some relationship with some of the victims. Can you please elaborate on what that kind of relationship might be? We've heard the potential of a domestic relationship or friends and neighbors. Thank you.
I'm sorry, not able at this point to elaborate on the nature of the relationship other than to confirm again that there was a relationship, or I should say the subject did know some of his victims, and yet others he did not know.
Nicole Monroe from the Chronicle Herald.
Yes, I'm wondering how RCMP are contacting families if it's successful, if some people are still seeking answers in regards to family members that they haven't heard from.
Yes, and until we have confirmation from the medical examiner that certain victims have been identified, we're unable to formally release the names and information of the deceased, and that would include family members. We are working diligently with the medical examiner's office, who they themselves have limitations, and when we consider the number of fatalities, it obviously puts a pressure there as well.
We'll take a question from Tom Bateman with Times and Transcripts in Moncton.
Good afternoon. I'm just looking for confirmation that the suspect mentioned yesterday is the only suspect. Are there others?
We're not looking for any other suspects in relation to the shooting spree that occurred yesterday and the day before. However, the investigation continues, but we do not believe that there's any additional threat related to this particular investigation for the public.
Okay, we'll now take questions from the floor. And what I'll get everyone to do, if you can, there's a mic at the end there if you guys want to.
Good afternoon, Chief Superintendent. Michael Tutton, I'm a reporter with the Canadian Press National Service. Can you tell us whether this began at the home of the suspect's spouse and partner, and whether she has passed away?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that. However, in the coming days, we will have a timeline prepared with the specific locations that we will obviously be passing along to the media. I think that will be beneficial, but it's too early for me to confirm that.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up, can you say anything about how this suspect managed to move from Port-a-Peak to Wentworth, where allegedly further deaths occurred, and then onwards? What was his method of evading police?
Well, we've described this mock police car, police uniforms being utilized by the subject. We'll never have an opportunity to interview the subject. However, we can say that his ability to move around the province undetected was surely greatly benefited by the fact that he had a police or a vehicle that looked identical in every way to a marked police car. And beyond that, he was wearing a police uniform, which, as I say, was either a very good fabrication of or actually a police uniform. And that surely contributed to his ability to circulate. And after the police vehicle that he was driving was no longer drivable, he was able to acquire other citizens' vehicles, to which I will not say anything more about because it's subject to an ongoing investigation. to then circulate around the province, steps ahead of our investigators.
Hi, Tim Bousquet from the Halifax Examiner. I don't think I heard an answer about why the emergency alert system was not activated. If not for this, what would be activated?
It's a good question, and I don't have an answer for you at this moment. We'll be looking at that, and I hope to have a more fulsome response for you tomorrow or in the coming hours. We had relied on Twitter, as my colleague said, because of its the instantaneous manner that we can communicate. We're aware that we have thousands of followers in Nova Scotia, and felt that it was a superior way to communicate this ongoing threat.
I have a follow-up question about communication in general. It's the belief of some people in the public that because the emergency alert system was not activated, that at least one person was killed and may have been warned. But additionally to that, why did the Twitter account announce that the suspect was in custody when he had been killed?
So in terms of that description, I could see how, for instance, passers-by may have considered Mr. Wortman to be in custody. But again, we're moving into a CERT investigational area. I think that question would be better posed to them. Thank you.
Bonjour, Héloïse de Radio-Canada. Est-ce qu'on peut savoir en français pourquoi le système d'alerte n'a pas été activé, pourquoi vous avez utilisé les médias sociaux à la place?
Comme le superintendant principal a dit, on n'a pas une réponse pour vous en ce moment, mais on va avoir une réponse dans les journées à venir, soit plutôt plus tard aujourd'hui ou demain.
Et pour clarifier le nombre de victimes, est-ce qu'on parle de 19 personnes plus le tireur ou on parle de 19 en tout, incluant le tireur?
The 19 is that with the suspect? At least 19.
It'll be in excess of 19.
Oui, il y a plus que 19, ça inclut le suspect aussi.
Hello, Andrew Douglas, Front Magazine. First of all, if you could give some additional detail, some basic detail on those two additional referrals to CERT, please.
So the one investigation, of course, that I referred to yesterday was the final takedown of the suspect. The other two have come to light pursuant to our investigation, and we thought it was appropriate to make those referrals. They're sensitive in nature. I'm afraid I can't say anything more about those, and I would suggest and recommend that you direct those questions to CERT. I don't believe they've yet commented on those two additional referrals, and it wouldn't be fair for me to comment in that regard.
With respect to the 5-year history of CERT, I can't think of any other time when it's been announced that something has been referred to CERT with absolutely no detail whatsoever. I mean, does it involve the police involvement in the injury and or death of one of the victims? Is that fair to say? One or more of the victims?
Two separate instances, obviously two separate referrals with very different circumstances, and there was a use of force issue in both instances. However, I cannot speak to the who was involved, other than to say it was RCMP members in both those instances, due to the fact that both of those are under investigation.
Just one follow-up, well, it's a separate question, actually. There was a report in The Sun last night about Constable Stevenson's death. In the description, Joe Warmington said that the shooter took her guns and mags, burned his own car, and then took her car. So my question is, was there a point when the shooter was driving an actual police vehicle, and did he have police magazines and firearms, to your knowledge?
To the first question, he was not driving an actual or real police car at any time that we're aware of to this point. I'm not at liberty to discuss the firearm portion because that moves into the CERT investigation.
And, no, that's going to be the end of the questions.
That's fine. Give him just one.
Thank you very much. I just, Mike, let me get it from the media press. If we could in any way draw some distinction, if you could, for us, between those known and unknown. In other words, there might have been neighbors, for example, who we knew a bit, versus those who he was very close to. And then there are others, perhaps he didn't know at all. Could you give us a sense, a bit more of a sense of that, so we understand going forward? Thank you.
As much as I would like to be able to do that, it would be a much better presentation with the proper timeline, locations, and the identities of the deceased being given to the public and the media formally. That's the time that I would like to be able to speak further on that question. We're not in a position to answer that in a detailed and fulsome way. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Merci d'avoir venu.